Hey, today is day 14,859, September 18, 2019. So recently, Joe Rogan had Dan Aykroyd on his show, and I watched little clips of it. I didn't see the whole episode, but I saw clips, and I saw the part where he was talking about the crystal skulls. And what it made me think of, now I enjoyed the story of the crystal skulls. I enjoyed the Indiana Jones movie. Well, I don't drink Crystal Head vodka, but if I drank alcohol, I'd probably drink Crystal Head vodka just because it's pretty cool. You know, the shape of the vodka thing. It's by Dan Aykroyd. That's his brand. But what it made me think of was Joe was challenging the crystal heads. And he had heard the story that the heads were buried and then excavated afterwards to create the legend of it. And I thought, okay, that's fine, yeah, because that's the mainstream explanation. That's the science explanation. You're okay with the idea of crystal heads being created, buried, and then found to create the story of it. But you're not okay with the idea of dinosaur bones being buried and then excavated to create the story. Now, why would they fake dinosaurs? Why would they create that story? Well, it has to go back, and I almost want to like write a PhD paper for this, but it would never go through because it's so against everything. But I have this thesis that after the Reformation of the church happened, where the church no longer dominated all of reality and science came in, you no longer had the right to kill in the name of God. You had to create a new way to kill off people. And to kill off people, there's a different reason in 1984 versus what's offered by the Malthusians. The Malthusians say that you have to just kill off the labor. Whereas in 1984, they said you had to destroy the manufactured goods, and that the idea that you're killing off people was just the illusion. It's the destruction of manufactured goods so that a surplus would never break out. Because if there was a surplus, then people would have free time. And if people had free time, they'd figure out who's pulling the strings and orchestrating everything. So, with the Malthusianism is what emerged after there was no killing in the name of God. Malthusianism branches into Darwinianism, not to be confused with natural selection, but evolution. Evolution is the political term. Natural selection is the real science term. So so in order to have evolution, because why do they have evolution? To build off the Malthusianism, is because they needed the pretext or the moral, it's not even a moral, but the excuse of survival of the fittest. So as you're conquering primitive cultures, you could say that, well, if they were fit for survival, if they were most fit and adaptive to the environment, they'd be able to overcome any of the higher technological weaponry that was used to kill off people. So, it's a pretext. Darwinianism slash Malthusianism slash survival of the fittest became the pretext. Now, in order to build upon it, and also the evolution part is used to replace the creationism story with Monkey Man. And then they have to figure out ways to fill in the blanks with the missing links, etc. So what do? You first bury dinosaur bones to create the narrative that these dinosaur bones were discovered and are from 60 to 100 million years ago. Yeah. And then you do that because you then need to create an age of the planet of 4.5 billion years. So then you could then create the age of the universe as 12.5 billion to 14 billion. You hear different numbers, whether it's Neil deGrasse Tyson or Bill Nye the Science Guy or your textbook or some theoretical physicist that they pull off the street. So you make all that. So anyway, so that's my little PhD, that Darwinianism slash Malthusianism slash evolution was the replacement for killing in the name of. They needed the pretext or the reason to kill. They utilized that. They had to manufacture a lot of things along the way. First, the trip to the Galapagos, then discovering the dinosaur bones. Look it up. The dinosaur bones were discovered after Darwin's book on evolution. And the pyramids were also excavated, like discovered through an excavation after all that. Like they weren't found ages ago. They were found within the last 200 something years. So it's like you could, and I might just be making this whole thing up just to manufacture a new narrative, but this new narrative can be manufactured because all of the stuff, all these archaeological digs, discoverings, and the whole narrative that they use is all recent. Recent being with since the scientific revolution. and because they were manufacturing this new dialogue, this new narrative. Also, I saw a David Icke interview on London Real recently, and he brought up this group. I forget what they're called, but they're basically, it's like the origins of Zionism slash Satanism, but not Jewish people, right? So it's not, they're like the anti-Jews. They're pretenders. The Jews get blamed for this group. And they basically, in the 16th century, it said that they started to turn everything upside down. So everything that was one way, they made it the opposite. So if thou shalt not kill, thou shalt kill. If pedophilia is bad, pedophilia is good. If up, then down. If flat earth, then globe earth. So we found the origin of it. And so it's basically replacing the old cosmology. And I'm not trying to defend the Christian worldview or even the flat earth worldview. I'm just trying to help people when they say, why would people do this? How is this? If you have cults, and you'd have to meet people like the Discordians or whoever, where they basically just troll society. They just change whatever to whatever just to throw it off. Now, you could say I do the same thing via like making you question everything. But my goal isn't sinister. Well, I guess it's not sinister, but it's just to get you to open your mind and to have thoughts of your own, to train you to critically think about things, not to just accept blindly what's been forced to you. Also, to get you to say, hey, if a version of reality, if you're required to adopt a version of reality, you should also ask questions about that. Like when you get peer pressured into believing something, I have a problem with that. In fact, I would have never even ventured into Flat Earth when I just asked some questions at the beginning just to get some answers to shut it down. The peer pressure to not conform to that, to not even look there, I was like, why is this such a naughty topic to discover? So any of my ventures into Flat Earth is more just people responded more viciously to Flat Earth than they did to any questioning of 9/11, of the official story of, the official narrative of 9/11. If you question that, people had a certain level of hostility. But the Flat Earth, the hostility was like twice that of anything I ever saw for 9/11, which really interested me. So I had to explore that. Through that process, you discover a lot of things. Most people won't even take the challenge. Just take the 24-hour Flat Earth challenge. You don't have to believe, like, I don't care what you believe. I don't even believe Flat Earth, but it's good to go there. It's good to question everything and go through these challenges. So I'm trying to tie all this together. I started with the crystal skulls. So people openly say the crystal skulls were manufactured and buried and a fake excavation happened to create a fake narrative of aliens, right? You're okay with believing that, but then you're not simultaneously okay with the idea that dinosaur bones may have been buried and discovered to create a narrative to support evolution, which is there to support the new way you could kill people and justify it. That's all I'm saying. Now, what else did I see here on my little list? Oh, yeah. And then I was watching a video on an interpretation of the ending of WestWorld Season 2. It was good. It was a good explanation of a lot of the stuff. WestWorld Season 2 is pretty strange compared to Season 1. They just really overdid it to try to follow along with that. But as I was watching it, the Native American character was really interesting to me because I don't know if you've seen the video I made called Find the Door. But in WestWorld Season 2, they literally were trying, well, at least that guy was trying to find the door, and he doubted the world that he was in. I really enjoyed seeing his perception of what the world was. He just didn't believe it. And he saw it for what most of us have, not nearly all of us were trained to believe in outer space and all the stuff that's out there. But if you never had knowledge of outer space, your understanding of what the world is must be so different. There's really nobody alive that was around before space was even in science fiction films, so we can't ask them. But imagine if you could ask, if we did this 30 years ago, there still would have been people that were alive from the 1800s. And maybe, and we would have been able to ask them what they thought this existence was, because again, we were all trained into the world of outer space, and that, we're traveling around the sun travels around the galaxy, and that makes it feel like, there's this whole big thing going on. But if you didn't know of space, you would then think this was all there was, and you'd have a whole different angle on what this is. So like obstacle course theory might make sense to you. And what did I see in this? Yeah, the flat. Okay. Once I became aware of the concept of the analemma, that's if you take a photograph of the sun every single day, at the same time every single day, it creates this pattern of like a figure eight. Or if you throw it the other way, it looks like the infinity symbol. Which then you realize the ancients that created the mathematics, the infinity symbol, as they looked, not knowing of space or any of the illusions that they've created about why the sun does the pattern, they just saw the sun go in a figure eight pattern forever and ever perpetually. Which then I'm assuming that's how they created the infinity symbol, because it just looked like, the analemma looked like the infinity symbol or the figure eight sideways. And that makes so much sense. I used to wonder, like, why was the symbol for infinity infinity? Imagine just seeing the sun perpetually doing that. Now, the people that refuse to go flat earth, even for a mental exercise, they just won't even do it. They're able to buy into I call it the apologetic. Apologetics well, first let me give you the apologetic. They say the analemma happens like that because the earth is on a tilt. The earth is tilted in three-dimensional space, right? It's such a convenient apologetic to explain it all away. Oh, well, that's because the earth is tilted in space, tilted in 3D space. We're just a ball rotating in outer space. And I'm sorry for I can't imagine anybody that's all the way globe earth still on this channel. But if you are, I'm sorry if you feel offended right now, but think about it, man. It's really absurd. A rotating ball going around the sun. And then you use the tilt to explain away the analemma. But anyway, it's not even flat earth. Get flat earth out of your mind. It's WestWorld. And as I said in another video, I was talking about this being a realm. And you get these ideas of global warming and all these problems and, oh God, the cycles of the world and it's going to fail and blah, blah, blah. If you see this as an artificial realm, and that the sun and the moon go about the sky, everything makes so much more sense. And time and all the stuff that we think of won't matter. You'll just see this as a machine that we're in. That the sun and the moon go about the sky. And so in this WestWorld explanation for season 2, it was that these robots were in place, and it was like they were going through these iterations over and over again for longer than we could imagine. And if you think to the film AI, Artificial Intelligence, where David, did Haley Joel Osment or whatever is the kid that sees dead people, at the end he goes to the bottom of the ocean, and because he's a robot, he just stays at the bottom of the ocean and he's just there forever, for 2,000 years. And eventually gray extraterrestrials come to Earth and they find him at the bottom of the ocean. They bring him up and they want to talk to him to extract information about the past. And then they were able to bring back his mother back to life for a day. It's like you could bring somebody back to life for a day. Oh, because she was cryogenically frozen. That was the deal. And it was, by the way, that's the saddest scene I've ever seen of all movies. That scene, to me, like if you asked, hey, what do you think is the saddest scene in all movie history? I would say it was that scene where they bring his mom back to life. It's really not his mom, he's a robot, but what he believes is his mom. And she's able to spend one more day with him. And then she, when she goes to sleep, she then dies, like blacks out. The aliens said that they can only keep people alive for a day until they fall asleep. And once they fall asleep, they pass away. And for whatever reason, man, that I can't get through that whole sequence there. It's so devastating to me. So I don't know if it's the same way for everybody else, but for me, man, it's killer. But where was I going with this? Long periods of time. We have a limited life of 80 years, but the robots, thousands of years could go by and it's nothing to them. So as I'm watching WestWorld, WestWorld is trying to say to you, hey, this is a completely artificial environment that was created. You are the robots. And then they use the Native American guy to show, and Native American's kind of anyway, we're not going to get into that, but that's the word we use. He was looking for the door. He didn't believe the world was real. He saw things that just didn't make sense. Eventually he finds the door and he goes in, and then he kind of like, whatever happened there. If you haven't seen WestWorld 1 and 2, there's nothing better. There's nothing more. It is the number one F your mind in half show ever. It gives The Matrix a run for the money. So if you haven't seen WestWorld, get caught up. I mean, this one is required homework. This is not even optional. You got to see WestWorld, and when you watch it, don't look at it as those stupid robots. The robots are us. Finally, let me just mention I finished the OA Season 2. Now, I know I said some things about the OA Season 1. I found the ending of Season 1 to be the biggest Rickroll of all time. I call it the Brit Roll. The Brit Roll because Brit Marling consistently Rickrolls you with amazing premises, like the clickbait that gets you to click it to get Rickrolled. So if you see any trailer of a Brit Marling film, you'll think like, oh my God, this is the coolest premise of all time. And then you see the movie and it always fails to deliver. It gives you the premise, but never delivers the promise. The OA Season 2, however, was pretty awesome. Way better than Season 1. And it's unfortunate that you'd have to endure Season 1 because Season 1 is torturous. It's like, oh God. There's aspects of Season 1 that are amazing. It deals with reincarnation, life after death. Way up my alley. Choosing your life in another dimension. But there's lots of kidnapping, torture scenes, and the ending there's no pay. The ending is the most absurd ending ever. Like Dusk Till Dawn times 10. With all that, I've already hated on Season 1, so I'm not going to hate on Season 1 because Season 2. Quality stuff. I recommend Season 2 to anybody that's into the topics of this channel. And at the end, there are black cubes of Saturn in it. So if you're into finding, let alone the black cubes of Saturn, there's so much esoteric symbology throughout the entire season. There's so much going on in OA Season 2. I haven't looked, but I'm sure there's people that interpret, give you their interpretations of the season. I don't have anything to offer on what my interpretation is of it, other than it was just cool. And it's kind of like I used to say when you listen to Cujo from the Goody Mob, most of the stuff he said doesn't make any sense, but it causes your mind to think of other things. So as I watched the OA Season 2, it wasn't so much the actual subject matter they were presenting, but it was just as you sat there and watched it, your mind would go through so many different... It causes you to think about other things. And you'll never quite see dying the same again. And you'll never think of the multiverse quite the same again. You'll wonder about jumping. You'll even wonder, and this is like, for instance, as I was just saying, it makes you think of other things. Because the characters could jump to different forks, to different checkpoints. So to tie this into simulation theory, the people that are able to understand simulation theory generally are gamers, right? So if you're a gamer, you know about checkpoints in games. You get to a checkpoint, and then if you die, you go back to the checkpoint. And there's some games that allow you to jump from checkpoint to checkpoint. I think one of the Tomb Raiders allows you to do this. So if you've cleared a checkpoint, you could then, like, if you beat the game, you go to this checkpoint, you get to different checkpoints. So now, in your life, you know that there's different forks, different moments in your life that, depending on what you chose there, your whole life changes. Really, every moment's like that because it's the butterfly effect, right? But there's bigger moments, like real big pivotal points. And the OA is kind of suggesting that, season 2 is suggesting that you could jump to these different checkpoints and have completely different lives. Now, in my own experience, and I don't think I've told this story on the channel, I think I wrote about it in one of my books, but there was a day where I did a meditation in my room where I changed who I thought I was. So it's literally the Jedi wisdom that Qui-Gon gives to Anakin before the pod race. Your focus becomes your reality. And so I became clear about who I was, and I defined it better. And from that day forth, it was like the entire game changed. Like the world that I was in, the way people interacted with me, everything after that meditation, I went to sleep, and then the next day it was like I woke up in a different timeline. And I've been in it ever since. Like I haven't gone, it's like it changed everything. It was like I jumped, like in the OA, into a different world, and it's been different ever since then. I was like 19 or 20. I had completed my junior year of college. It was like the year 99 or 2000. Ever since that day, the way I was perceived by others and the way others interacted with me, everything changed from that day forward. So it was like, I wonder, and many times, and that was a significant one that I remember, but there's many times where I'll feel one way going to sleep, and then the next day I'm completely different. Like I look at something I might have pasted on social media the day before, I'm like, wow, I can't believe that was even impacted me, that I needed to express it. And I'll just go to sleep, and the next day I feel completely different, like I woke up in a different timeline. So I always wonder about what sleeping actually is, like when, and different levels of it, like a good night's sleep, how that modifies the waking world afterwards. And I don't know, just sleeping, you go to sleep and it's like you synchronize your data to the Akasha, and your body gets Windows updates performed on it, and some repairs. It's like the disk defrag happens, and system cleanup, disk cleanup, you get repaired, and you get upgrades and modifications. So I don't know what dreaming is, but the OA, and none of this, what I just said, is even in the OA, but it makes you think, as you see it happen, you start to say, all right, well, how does this, because I don't believe anybody writes deep stuff like the OA or WestWorld or The Matrix without having a profound experience that they wanted to express to people. I don't think people are creative enough on their own without having a profound paranormal experience. Most people aren't like me. Like, I just come out and say it. I don't care. But other people still want to have friends and be accepted in circles where people don't think you're a nut job. So they write it in the version of fiction so that you have a back door, so that others have a back door. They could say, come on, that was just a movie. That was just fiction. It gives them the back door to not have to ask any questions or deeply, profoundly think and critically analyze the environment that we're in. Even if you want to believe in the globe world, that's fine. Just back it with real experience, not with secondhand knowledge that you got from class, from the school, or from Neil deGrasse Tyson. But even if you did, I'm sorry if I'm making fun of you, because I don't know what the answers are. I don't know if it's flat. I don't know if it's round. I've never been to space, so I don't know. But you haven't been there either. You haven't been there either. You haven't been there either. And only 535 people supposedly have, and they're not the ones that are teaching us the science. You notice that? It's not the astronauts that are teaching us. Anyway, who cares? Who cares? Who cares? It's not even that part. None of this flat Earth crap is even worth debating. Take everything else, the concepts, conceptually, critically think, question everything. So I recommend the OA. Season 2, I don't recommend Season 1, but I don't think Season 2 will make sense if you don't see Season 1, but I recommend Season 2. I don't recommend Season 1. WestWorld Seasons 1 and 2, it's not even optional. It is completely required. Not even highly suggested. It's like you absolutely have to see WestWorld 1 and 2. Obviously, The Matrix. Oh, and the what was the other thing I was talking about? Dan Aykroyd. But didn't I bring up another show that I saw? I don't know. Dan Aykroyd talking crystal skulls on Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan has no problem believing that they excavated the crystal skulls, but doesn't believe that the dinosaur bones are fake. So you can utilize that if you're trying with anybody. So let me know, what do you guys feel about flat Earth at this point? Like I said, I don't care. It creates too much problems to pursue it or whatever. I am going to Flat Earth International 2019 in Dallas just to go. I like Mark Sargent. I like to see him. Also, this little format, my little daily videos, this enables me to just drop whatever's on my mind into videos. You guys okay with this format? I mean, I'm going to try to flip it up with making little short videos with Toonly and Doodly and ways to get concise subject matter. I might even make like a cartoon of that little PhD thing I was talking about with the dinosaurs being created in order to back the theories of evolution, natural selection, and the whole manufacturing of all this. I don't know. I might not. I don't really have proof either way of it. But it's a good concept, and it's a pretty neat timeline when you think about it. When you look at the time, I did make a video on this. It's a long one. I made it like over a year ago. It was something about we all agree that to the victors write the history, right? The victors write the history. So then why do any of us believe history if we know the winners of the wars got to rewrite the history in their narrative, right? So everybody says that. Everybody is in agreement that the winners write the history. Yet if you challenge history, people get furious with you. If you say history is fake, by that definition alone, they still get mad. It's like, hold up. You agree on the premise that the winners of the wars write the history. You agree with that. But then when you say, I don't know, man, I think history might be fake. No. You challenge anything about history, people get mad at you on that. But then they agree. I've repeated this, right? So anyway, in that video, I actually have like PowerPoint slides, and I show the chronology of the dates. And I might just make that into a concise video, just that portion of it. So maybe this is where I'm creating my ideas of potential videos that could be short and concise and to the point. It's through this brainstorming of whatever's on my mind. So what was on my mind recently? Well, saw WestWorld, saw the Joe Rogan thing with Dan Aykroyd, saw the David Icke, saw the OA, and just synthesizing all that into my mind. I got to see the Dave Chappelle Sticks and Stones. Everybody's talking about that. Now, at the same time, everybody's talking about it. That might be the publicity to advertise the event. I don't know. You know, you create... Just in case you guys don't know, if you create a publicity campaign or a press release campaign, they want you to manufacture the controversy. So, as Public Enemy said in the 80s, Flavor Flav, don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype. But if you enjoy the controversy, that's cool. Just know that that's what people do to sell their shows or sell products, whatever. You got to create the controversy. Let's create the publicity. So that's that. Let me know your feelings on, does anytime I bring up Flat Earth, is that, some people are like, as soon as you bring up Flat Earth, I mean, that's when I lose you, okay? Okay? I lost you. As soon as you brought up everything, even though everything you said made sense, as soon as you brought up the Flat Earth, that was it. That was it, bro. That was it. And it's like, but I prefaced it by saying I haven't been to space, so I don't know the shape of the Earth. No, dude, I mean, you just lost me, bro. I can't deal with that. Flat Earth is just so stupid. You shouldn't even say it. And it's like, but I prefaced it by saying, I don't know the shape of the world. I haven't been to space. I don't know. I'm not saying the world is flat. I don't even care what the shape. I think the world's a realm. It's not even like to think I'd be so limited as to just thinking it's a flat Earth and that's it. And then I try to tell people, like, yo, flat Earth is an all-encompassing term. It just means you're challenging the narrative that has been indoctrinated into us. And you don't. If you're a real flat Earth, you don't care what the shape is. Maybe I'm co-opting flat Earth by saying that, but just know that my definition of it doesn't mean you strictly think the world's flat and you can't be changed. Because it's just whatever. So I'm curious to know if you're offended by that. Because that's why I made my Flat Earth channel. I was getting so many unsubscribes. people get so butthurt by it. And I just want to know if you're also like that. If so, I'll stop talking about flat earth and I'll only talk about it on my flat earth channel. But as I'm talking about it, just know if you just get hung up on that, I'm not saying the world's flat. Like, seriously, I'm not. It's not about that. It's just about questioning everything. And you know what's funny too? With conspiracy theorists, they believe in aliens. They believe 9/11 was an inside job. They believe JFK wasn't killed by Lee Harvey Oswald. But when it comes to flat earth, they draw the line. They can't go there. And it's like, hold up. You'll look up all this stuff. You'll research all this stuff except flat earth. And it's funny because even Mark Sargent says that. He's like, I went through all the conspiracies and the last one that was on the shelf was flat earth, and I just didn't want to go there. And I finally said, I'm just going to spend, and I'm not trying to push flat earth, bro. Just believe me, I'm just trying to help you guys be the best conspiracy theorists that you could be. You got to go there. You got to try it. You got to taste it. You got to taste the flavor and see if you don't like it. It's the worst thing you could do is call yourself a flat earther. People put up with everything I ever said, aliens, this, that, choosing my life, and they could handle all that. They just couldn't do the flat earth. But anyway, that's what I want to know. How do you feel about that? But also, have you seen the WestWorld? Have you seen the OA season 2? Did you see the Joe Rogan, Dan Aykroyd interview? And what was the fourth one? WestWorld. WestWorld, the OA, Aykroyd, and Icke. Those are the 4 things I was talking about. Anyway, I'm out of here, man. I've been grandstanding for a while. And also, I wanted to know if you're okay with this format. I went really long this time, and I'll just try to stop asking if I just know. If you guys are like, yo, enough with the brainstorm, just write it out, make little short videos, I'll do that too. But if you like this straight off the top, there's no filter. There's just this. I'm not even editing this on my computer. I'm just editing it. I'm stitching it together on Pinnacle Studio app on the iPhone, because my iPhone, I can't export. If you guys know how to fix this, it would help out. When I plug my iPhone in, it's an iPhone X. If the video file is like greater than 500 megs, I can't transfer it into my computer. It just fails. It says like a device attached to this computer is no longer responding. So that's why I'm editing. That's really the real reason why I'm editing this on my phone, is because I can't transfer it into my computer. I can upload it into my NAS device, which is over there. But when I do it into my NAS, it puts it in this like weird format that it's like some weird compression that my computer can't edit effectively. Like it could do one cut and then it gets screwed up. So anyway, I'm out of here, man. I probably said so anyway so many times. I've been trying to wrap this video. I'm wrapping. But I appreciate you watching. I hope these thoughts caused your mind to go somewhere that you wanted it to go. I'm hoping this delivers on what you want of the simulation theory, of questioning reality, of asking these deeper questions, throwing things into the mix. Yeah, I'm stopping. Have a good one, man. I'll see you in the next one.